Since I was little, I've been especially loved by everyone, especially the little girls. In kindergarten, those ponytailed girls always loved surrounding me. I remember that day. Snow White secretly slipped a pack of spicy noodles into my hand. The bright red packaging made me swallow hard repeatedly. From now on, you can only be close to me. It'll bring you delicious food every day. She blinked her big round eyes, negotiating with me. I stared at the glossy, oil-shimmering pack of spicy noodles, nodding eagerly like a chicken pecking at grain, afraid this gift from the heavens might fly away. Who would thought this little girl kept her word? From that day on, my school bag was never without snacks. For over a decade, like clockwork, from kindergarten to high school graduation, she fed me into a chubby round guy. On graduation day, when other girls blushed and confessed their feelings to me, this little girl clung tightly to my arm. Sorry, everyone. This is my husband raised on my snacks, she declared triumphantly. Her bold demeanor left everyone stunned. I stood beside her, scratching my head, thinking to myself, this girl's been this domineering since we were kids. What will she be like when she grows up? My name is Roundfield. I have a fierce childhood friend from our kindergarten days. She'd beg her mom for money every day, then buy snacks for me. Her mom asked why she needed money daily. She boldly said it was to buy food to feed Roundfield, so I wouldn't play with other girls. And Snow heard this and couldn't stop laughing, but she never refused her daughter's requests. When she made delicious food, she'd invite me over. My house and her house weren't far apart, just about 200 meters as the crow flies. From my door to hers, it took less than 10 minutes to walk. Every morning, the first thing I did when I woke up was to quickly get dressed and run to Snow White's house to eat, because my mom's cooking skills could only be described as indescribable. But Aunt Snow's dishes were absolutely delicious. She even made homemade pastries and snacks. For a glutton like me, I wished I could trade places with Snow White. Snow White knew my tastes perfectly. Every day she lured me with her mom's delicious creations. Roundfield, today mom made osmanthus cakes. Come over tonight, okay? Roundfield, tomorrow morning there's fennel-free dough sticks. Meet me at 7:30, alright. Later, she didn't even need a reason. Just mentioning a tasty dish, and I'd immediately use my kid's watch to call my mom, saying I wouldn't eat at home. My mom felt I was dismissing her cooking. She swore that tonight she'd make delicious pastries and told me to come home for dinner, and I foolishly believed her. Stubbornly refused Snow White's sticky rice cakes. After school, I brought Snow White to my house. Then I looked at the plate of food in front of me. A tragic apple banana stir-fry. My face blank with confusion. To save face for my mom in front of Snow White, I gritted my teeth and took a bite. I swear at that moment I couldn't control my expression, because from that tiny piece of apple banana, I tasted sour, sweet, bitter, and spicy all at once. Snow White, curious, got excited. Despite my protests, she tried a bite, and her little face changed through several expressions in seconds. Finally going blank, she looked at me with pity, as if saying, you've been living like this. While my mom was in the kitchen, we sneaked out. That night, I ate my fill at Snow White's house before going. My dad looked at me with a face full of deep resentment. Before him were several plates of food, all my mom's dark culinary creations. I guiltily patted my little belly, signaling I was already full. In the end, my dad with teary eyes ate all of mom's strange then quietly told me, in the future, don't let mom make dishes she's not good at. In middle school, and Snow's job often required travel, my delicious daily breakfasts were interrupted, but Snow White found another way. Every day she bought me all sorts of breakfast foods. Roundfield over here. Snow White, wearing a pink and black checkered backpack, waved at me. I dashed over, skillfully unzipped her backpack, and took out the breakfast she bought. Small steamed buns from Dangshan County. I ate one, fed Snow White one. I ate another. We strolled leisurely to school together. After eating, Snow White held 2 cups of pumpkin millet porridge, one for each of us, sipping noisily. Come to my house tonight. I'll cook dinner for you. After finishing the porridge, she suddenly suggested. I hesitated, because Snow White had never cooked before. I didn't want to repeat past mistakes. Don't worry, I've been practicing lately. Snow White took the empty cup from my hand, tossed it into the roadside bin, making a perfect arc. After the last class in the afternoon, we packed up our books and left the school gate together with our backpacks. Is Snow bringing her boyfriend home again? Snow White's best friend White Porridge ran up, teasing Snow White. Boyfriend? What boyfriend? We're still young. Snow White waved her little fist threatening White Porridge, making her laugh and step back a bit. We're just good friends. I quickly clarified teachers strictly forbade early dating. We couldn't let White Porridge talk nonsense. White Porridge tilted her head looking at us, then burst out laughing. All right. See you tomorrow, she waved, then walked away down another path. Snow White's face turned pink. She kicked a pebble on the road, muttering, what nonsense. Roundfield, don't listen to her. I looked at her surprised. Listen to what? She was just joking. On the way, Snow White returned to her usual lively self, hopping along with me to buy vegetables. Snow White put on her mom's apron, puffed out her chest proudly, guaranteeing I'd be amazed. And she did amaze me. Her cooking wasn't bad at all. At least better than my mom's. Not bad. If Aunt Snow's cooking is 10 points, you've inherited 5 points of her skill. I shoveled food into my mouth, full and dreamy, giving Snow White a thumbs up, offering sincere praise. Snow White's eyes curved into crescents. She propped her chin grinning as she watched me eat. Roundfield come to our house to eat. My mom, knowing Aunt Snow was away on business, made this invitation as I left for school. I thought if my mom saw Snow White, who'd only been cooking for 2 months, already better than her a 20-year housewife, I nodded in agreement, then told Snow White about it. That evening, Snow White and my mom chatted lively in the kitchen. Hearing Snow White endlessly praise my mom's cooking, I almost doubted reality. Time passed bit by bit. Snow White and I graduated high school. Roundfield, Hayes really not your boyfriend? I heard White Porridge ask Snow White again for confirmation. I didn't quite understand why she kept harping on this. That night I learned why. White Porridge confessed to me. Roundfield, I've loved being around you since we were kids. Even now, my feelings haven't changed. I think this is love. Be my boyfriend. White Porridge was close with Snow White's parents. Their relationship was naturally good. Out of respect for Snow White, I felt awkward, not knowing how to refuse without hurting her. Sorry, White Porridge. This is my future husband. Find someone else. A small pair of hands clung to my arm. No need to check fingerprints. Just the scent told me it was Snow White. She puffed out her chest confidently, her face full of wisdom as if seeing through everything. Didn't you say Roundfield wasn't your boyfriend? White Porridge interrupted mid-confession, said to her a bit annoyed. Hayes not my boyfriend, Hayes my future husband. My meal buddy since childhood, destined from the start. Skipping the boyfriend phase entirely. Snow White spoke with growing pride, resting her head on my shoulder, smirking triumphantly at White Porridge. White Porridge was so mad. She was momentarily speechless. Husband, say something. I still have to make sweet and sour ribs for you. Snow White's voice was sweet, even using my favorite dish to tempt me. As a professional feeder, Snow White's cooking skills were quite good. My mind was instantly filled with sweet and sour ribs. I hugged Snow White's slim waist, nodding to White Porridge. That's right. Snow White and I made a promise in kindergarten. Husband and wife. Looking at Snow White's all too familiar face, I couldn't quite say the word, but for the sake of delicious food, I forced myself to call her. Husband, let's go home. Snow White grinned, eyes crinkling, one arm around me, waving at White Porridge with the other. And what shocked me was White Porridge grinning and waving back. Did you and White Porridge scheme together? I'm not indulging you, Snow White. You clearly set this up to make me admit our relationship. 1 plate of sweet and sour ribs enough. Need another dish. Snow White leaned on my shoulder, her eyes narrowed into slits. Add a mixed veggie salad to cut the grease. I thought for a moment and replied, then realized. I grabbed Snow White's ponytail, not letting her change the subject. Don't dodge me. Spill it, how'd you scheme with white porridge? Ouch, let go. If you keep this up, I won't cook for you anymore. Snow White pretended to yelp in pain, making me instinctively loosen my grip, though I hadn't hurt her at all. You're my husband, proven by that pack of spicy noodles. A husband this great. If I don't lock you down, how can I? Snow White hopped away, wrinkled her little nose at me, turned and walked off cheerfully, her ponytail swaying under the sunset, her youthful figure hidden by her uniform, her joyful laughter echoing down the road, making listeners' hearts flutter. The story of me and Snow White spread through the class group, especially Snow White's destined husband line, completely igniting everyone's envy. You beast Roundfield, do you have to be so smug? You locked her down as a kid. Friend Round, I bow to you. Buy 2 packs of spicy noodles and teach me tomorrow, okay? The class group kept pinging my name, some envious, some humbly asking for tips. But I didn't read any messages, because I was eating Snow White's sweet and sour ribs. Sour and sweet, so delicious. Who had time for messages? After dinner, Snow White told Aunt Snow and walked me downstairs. At the dark spot under the building, she suddenly called me. I turned around. Her slender figure in the dark was slightly alluring. She beckoned me over. The husband title set. Time to seal it with a stamp. Snow White's voice was oddly sweet, her fair face close to my ear. Her familiar scent wafted into my nose, making my face flush red. She stood on tiptoe, wrapping her arms around my neck, her soft lips pressed against mine. Stamp sealed, no eating food made by others, only mine. Snow White stepped back, her bright eyes sparkling in the dark. I floated home. My phone got a message from Snow White. Husband home yet? Just got in. Snow White sent a photo of low-gluten flour she prepared, making little pastries for you tomorrow. What flavor do you want? Strawberry, you like it too. Snow White feeding me became even more frequent during this homework-free vacation. My parents and Snow White's parents gathered, discussing which university we should attend. Snow White fed me a cookie, sweet and crispy, not caring about the parents' discussion. Boys should pick something like computer science. Easy to find jobs. My dad spoke up first, pushing up his gold-rimmed glasses, trying to seem professional. Yeah, finance is good too. Both fields have similar job rates. Uncle Snow agreed, adding, easy jobs won't help if you can't survive till then. If Little Round leaves Snow White head starve in freshman year. My mom didn't argue, making Snow White nod like a chicken pecking grain. Yes, 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 and so right. We have to go to the same university, ideally the same major, so I can take better care of her. And Snow chuckled, didn't offer an opinion, but saying nothing meant agreeing with her daughter. In the end, when I cast a blank vote, both sets of parents agreed. We applied to Ocean University a few 100 kilometers away. The night we got our acceptance letters, Snow White and I excitedly held them, showing them off to each other. Downstairs at Snow White's building, I leaned against the wall. She pinned me, kissing me repeatedly. Hey, hey! And Snow's voice came from behind Snow White, making us both jump apart in panic. And going upstairs. This place is busy, be careful. And Snow looked at our flustered selves, her expression complex as she went upstairs. It's all your fault, I told you not to kiss me here. I blamed Snow White. You eat my cooking every day. What's wrong with a few kisses? Snow White didn't back down, leaned in and kissed me again, under the streetlight's glow. Her little face was so captivating, I couldn't resist kissing her back. Her cheeks soft and adorable, like fruit jelly. She curved her eyes, cupped my face and kissed me back. I told her to kiss more, she kissed back. So we tangled for half an hour, each holding a wet wipe to clean our faces before parting. Husband, see you tomorrow. Snow White's familiar hair scent mixed with baked goods made me smile. Wife, see you tomorrow. One summer vacation passed quickly as we clung to each other, going out to play. My parents and Snow White's parents clearly knew about us and tacitly approved, making Snow White bolder at my house, coming to feed me. On university move-in day, Snow White carried bags big and small, entering campus with me. Why'd you bring so much stuff? At Snow White's dorm. After helping her up, I watched her unpack a mini rice cooker, a stew pot, a small multi-purpose pot to cook for you. Your stomach's weak. How could you eat cafeteria food? Snow White said matter-of-factly, arranging the rule-breaking appliances, finally pulling out a big bag, filled with chili sauce and snow-made, mushroom beef sauce, spicy chicken sauce, holding one jar after another. Let's go, it'll help you make your bed. In my dorm, all 3 roommates were already there, lying on their beds scrolling phones. One at the desk playing on the computer. Seeing Snow White behind me, their eyes widened. This is Snow White, my fiancée. I introduced to them. Snow White casually greeted them, then started making my bed. Even the epic Siffy 3-buddy problem isn't this dreamy. So jealous, bro. You're my real big brother. Teach me. Snow White organized snacks and sauce jars, carefully sorting them, said goodbye and left, leaving my 3 roommates, endlessly voicing their envy. That night I texted Snow White what I wanted for breakfast. The next morning, Snow White waited downstairs with a thermal box, making my name spread quickly through campus. Our dorm was fragrant with food every day. Snow White intentionally made extra, so my roommates could enjoy her cooking. Big bro, you're the dorm boss now. Anyone disagrees, I'll deal with them first. Strong King, the oldest, hugged his bowl, eating it clean. I approve first. But big bro, you better treat sister-in-law well. If she's wronged, don't blame us for not showing mercy. Iron Lay, the second oldest, ate till he nearly cried, patting my shoulder with advice. Snow White occasionally came by, always sitting beside me, grinning as she watched us devour her food. Unlike my roommates, my portion was always meticulously prepared, exactly enough to fill me up, with extra seasoning. University life didn't change our bond. Instead, being openly together made it sweeter. Every corner of campus held our footprints. Every evening, we walked hand in hand down quiet paths, talking endlessly, savoring boundless sweetness. But joy doesn't last. Snow White's small appliances were found by the dorm manager, ruthlessly confiscated. Snow White bit her lip, watching her beloved rice cooker taken, her ponytail drooping, showing her dejected mood. What's this nonsense? My 3 roommates heard the news, stunned. After long discussions, to ensure daily meals, the 3 pulled money to rent us a 50-square-meter apartment, 1 bedroom, a small kitchen, a modest dining area, but enough to make Snow White beam. Explaining to the dorm manager, Snow White retrieved her precious appliances. When the small kitchen was neatly set up, the 4 of us guys held a housewarming party in our temporary apartment, agreeing to their monthly meal requests. The housewarming party just ended. Snow White tirelessly dragged me to buy daily necessity, made the bed neatly. Looking at the room with just 1 bed, my mouth went dry. What are you spacing out for? Hurry up and sleep. We have class tomorrow. Snow White untied her hair, her soft locks falling down, looking at me in surprise, grabbing clothes and heading to the bathroom. An hour later, we finished washing up, holding hands lying on the bed, feeling each other's nervous racing heartbeats. Snow White, why are you so good to me? My voice trembled. In this ambiguous atmosphere, my fingers accidentally brushed Snow White. Her smooth skin sparked an urge in me. Because I like you. In the dark, Snow White's eyes shone brightly, her voice slightly shy. I like you too. Moved, I hugged her, kissing her soft lips. This kiss wasn't like the fleeting ones before. It was deep, full of lingering emotion, until we couldn't breathe. Snow White's breath lingered around my nose, carrying a sweet, intoxicating scent, making me lose myself in it. I couldn't help but hold her waist, pulling her closer. That night we clumsily explored each other. Our relationship, sprouting from that kindergarten pack of spicy noodles, finally bloomed into a beautiful flower. Snow White taped a note in the small kitchen, reading Round's little kitchen, perfectly fitting its purpose. Wake up! Snow White's wake-up service began. Since we started living together, Snow White let loose. Now she stretched her fair legs, If I dared oversleep, she'd probably stuff her foot in my mouth. I flipped over and got up, quickly dressed and left the bed. On the table, fragrant food was already set. Fennel-free dough sticks with salty tofu, exactly to my taste. The only downside was Snow White's rule that I eat everything. Her cooking couldn't be wasted. Snow White had just enough for herself. I devoured the rest like a whirlwind. Only then was she satisfied clearing the table. We cleaned the kitchen together, grabbed our backpacks, and hugged each other, looking at Snow White's lovely face. I kissed her like a pecking chicken before letting go. Here, here, and here too. Her fair finger pointed to her cheeks, her forehead, complaining I hadn't kissed enough spots. Following her pointing, I kissed each place. Then we held hands and left. In the evening, I cooked dinner with Snow White. After years of practice, my cooking wasn't bad either. After dinner, Snow White ran to the room, while I started my daily workout. Snow White's food was too delicious, and the portions were generous. If I didn't exercise, I'd get fat. The reason for exercising was my growing chubbiness. So I made a workout plan, sweating buckets every day. Snow White was the obstacle in my fitness journey. She'd come out in super short pajamas, long legs and black stockings, parading back and forth in front of me, posing provocatively, making me obediently pull her back to the room. Over an hour later, I'd come out again, wanting to continue my workout plan, but my exhausted body said tomorrow. I was worn out today. As days passed, my workout plan often stalled. Looking at my little belly, I finally resolved. No more letting Snow White tempt me. Husband, here is a locally meal I made for you. Snow White's food smelled divine. I gritted my teeth, not looking. Husband, let's try another kind of exercise. Snow White wore revealing clothes, her long fair legs nearly in my face. I firmly refused, closed my eyes focusing on exercise. Turning, Snow White switched to black stockings, her fingers tracing English words. My eyes widened, almost losing control. Husband, exercising together is more fun. Hearing Snow White's seductive voice, and the temptation within reach, my faint resolve shattered. Shamefully, I gave in. The next day, I reflected painfully, deciding to take a risk. This time, I gave Snow White's lunch to my roommates to eat, while I secretly ate a locally meal. After succeeding, they called me their godfather. I left under their admiring gazes. Then, husband, don't you love me anymore? Snow White's beautiful eyes brimmed with grievance, misty and teary, like she'd cry any second. If you love me, why give my love-cooked meal to others? Snow White's accusation left me speechless. I pulled up my shirt to show my chubby belly. Fat isn't attractive. A simple, blunt reason. But Snow White didn't accept it. She leaned in, pinching my soft belly, loving it too much to let go. So soft, so cute like this. This is perfect. Her reason was strong, but I didn't agree. I put on a prepared blindfold, kept sweating on the treadmill. A rich tomato McBeef scent hit my nose. I instinctively sniffed, then took a deep breath, ready to dive back into my workout. But that deep breath made the scent stronger. Beef and lamb won't affect your workout. Just eat a couple bites. On the table, Snow White happily served me food, smiling with eyes narrowed to slits. Slurp, slurp, husband's the best. This time I ate it all again. After eating, I touched my round belly. Snow White, satisfied, pinched it, then rewarded me with kisses. This can't go on. I sank into thought. Wine and beauty would ruin me. Starting tomorrow, no more wine. Another evening home. I made a locally meal myself. Snow White pouted, watching, not cooking her dinner. Broccoli, carrots, corn, and a bland plate of chicken breast. Tasted like wax. After a break, I continued my fitness mission. Snow White clanged pots in the kitchen. The aroma kept wafting over. My favorite sweetened syrups. I gave a cold laugh. Prepared, I put on a mask. The scent vanished instantly. Snow White, failing, went to shower. I took out the blindfold, smirking triumphantly. No one could stop me now. Husband, I'm all clean now. Snow White's soft voice sounded by my ear. My heart was iron, unmoved. A cool hand touched my chest, but my steel will didn't waver. Husband, try my little milk ice cream. My blindfold was removed. Snow White's fair skin speckled with cream made me skip a breath. Out she stepped back, as if bumping into something. Crying out, she sank to the floor. I quickly crouched down, reached to check her ankle, but under her pajamas fishnet stockings appeared. I instantly understood, looking up into her captivating eyes. Husband, I was so careful. Wanna try? Try sure. I admit I fell again. If I couldn't exercise at home, I'd jog in the morning, play basketball in the afternoon. Luckily, my figure improved. Husband, you're getting skinny again. In the kitchen, Snow White chopped steadily on the cutting board, grumbling with slight dissatisfaction, making me secretly smug. I'd finally escaped Snow White's food siege. My figure gradually improved. ABS starting to show. Too hard, not fun to touch anymore. Though Snow White complained, she secretly started making locally meals for me. Rich fish and meat became chicken breast, broccoli, carrots, boiled eggs with blueberries, lettuce and other veggies. Every noon we ate together, opening the box to identical veggie fruit salads. We looked at each other and smiled. To reward her change, I secretly bought two matching couple outfits. Hey, wear this today. Early morning, I placed the women's outfit by Snow White's pillow, then went for a run. When I returned, Snow White had made breakfast, wearing the matching outfit like mine. When I hugged her for a photo, she realized, husband, you're so thoughtful. On campus paths, Snow White was thrilled, occasionally greeting friends, showing off our matching outfits. In the morning lecture hall, she walked in and immediately spotted me in the back. Husband, her clear call rang out, drawing all eyes to me. The professor over 50 pushed up his black glasses, smiling, telling everyone to quiet down. Snow White dashed to my side, placed her books on the desk, kissed my cheek with a smack. Students, I admire your affection, but in class, please be mindful. The professor's calm voice sounded. Friendly laughter filled the room. These moments grew more frequent. Snow White and I became campus celebrities. Someone posted my photo on the confession wall, making Snow White furious. She posted at midnight claiming her main wife status. But who knows if they saw it? Girls still appeared around me occasionally. One afternoon, our whole dorm went to the court, sweating on the basketball court. Snow White sat quietly on the sidelines, flipping through a cookbook. The final shot scored. As the game ended, a strange girl approached, handing me a water bottle. After a moment of surprise, I pointed to Snow White. Sorry, my water's over there. The girl looked disappointed, but still shoved the bottle into my hand and left. I turned back. Snow White had just looked up, seeing the scene, her hair fluttering lightly. Her emotional gaze scared me. At home, Snow White pinned me against the door, her warm lips kissing fiercely. You're mine. No drinking water from other girls. Her voice low and husky, full of intense emotion. That night nearly turned me into a soft shrimp. From then on, Snow White occasionally appeared at my classroom door, her eyes like searchlights, scanning the opposite sex around me. Even at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, she brought all sorts of pastries, calling it afternoon tea. I wasn't hungry. My nose kept sniffing, saliva pooling in my mouth, my brain signaling hunger. I swallowed hard, still suppressing my craving, telling Snow White against my heart, don't you love me anymore? Her gem-like eyes glistened, putting on a pitiful act. Then eat and prove it to me. She instantly smiled brightly, her fair hand holding a spoon, feeding me a bite of ice cream. My workout plan had to increase in intensity to fend off the girls around me. I posted a photo of me and Snow White on the school forum. Caption taken, very happy. Please don't disturb. At school, I stuck to Snow White all day. Gradually, no more girls bothered me. To reward me, Snow White cooked a week-long feast. Even worse, she made nourishing dishes. The result was Snow White taking 2 days off. Before stopping this self-destructive behavior, our peaceful life was disrupted by Snow's surprise visit. She suddenly called, telling us to take her to our place after class. Snow White and I panicked, but had no choice. With no afternoon classes, Snow White gritted her teeth and called Aunt. We both took Aunt Snow to our place. As soon as Aunt stepped in, she saw the sign, Round's Little Kitchen, on the kitchen door. What was our sweet proof now became damning evidence. Well, this little life seems cozy. Aunt Snow's voice was light, but her words dripped with teasing. After a tour of the place, her expression soured. The small apartment clearly had one bedroom, but the bed had two blankets. Anyone could see what was going on between us. Round field, looks like I need to visit your parents. My heart skipped, nervously looking at Aunt Snow. To discuss your marriage. Her interrupted sentence nearly scared me to death. Snow White, who'd been looking down since entering, suddenly looked up, her eyes blinking at her mom. After Aunt Snow left, that night I got a call from my mom. Get married after you graduate. Mom and Aunt Snow have discussed it. My mom's voice was excited over the phone. Snow White, eavesdropping, got thrilled, her big eyes kissing me repeatedly. With Snow White pestering me, I couldn't resist teasing her. Snow White's here. She wants to say a few words to Mom. Snow White froze, then naturally took the phone, chatting lively with my mom. I took the chance to tease her, pinching her cheeks, poking and pestering nonstop. Finally, she hurriedly hung up, and we tussled on the bed. During winter break, we packed and went home. The first thing both sets of parents did was gather to plan the wedding date. Since we had half a year till graduation, and we were living together, they feared we'd bring back a grandchild before the wedding. Snow White brought me a small pastry she made with her mom, feeding me by hand. Uncle Snow's face was long, kicked secretly by Aunt Snow a few times, before reluctantly relaxing, looking at me with a complex expression. Snow White beamed brightly at Uncle, finally easing his face. When we returned to school, our families began preparing the wedding. A few months later, Snow White and I wore graduation gowns, smiling happily for the camera. We graduated. At the final class gathering, the class leader reminded us to invite the class to our wedding. So, Snow White and I sent digital invitations to the class group, and the whole class came to our wedding. Even our advisor reluctantly slipped us a red envelope. At the wedding, the MC stirred up the crowd. Snow White and I played up our affection below. Hearing my name called, I quickly swallowed the food in my mouth. Snow White wiped my mouth with a wet wipe. I hurriedly ran to the stage, making everyone laugh. Groom, tell us about your fated bond with the bride, the MC asked with a smile. I held the mic looking at Snow White, smiling at everyone below. It was in kindergarten. She gave me a pack of spicy noodles. Everyone laughed and clapped, blessing our childhood sweetheart love. Snow White and I wore intricate Chinese-style wedding attire. Under the witness of family and friends, became a happy couple. As guests left that night, I sprawled on the sofa, loosening my jacket to relax. Finally done. Didn't expect a wedding to be so tiring. Snow White grinned, bringing out a plate of egg-fried rice from the kitchen. Refuel. I saw you didn't eat much tonight. That's my wife. Even fried rice smells this good. Looking at the hot, fragrant plate, I praised. Wife, you eat. On our wedding reception's living room sofa, we took turns eating the rice spoonful by spoonful. Husband, I'll cook for you forever. Wife, thank you. If you really want to thank me, really, try a bit harder tonight. Wife, we just ate. Let me digest first. No stalling, hurry up. Snow White yanked me into the bedroom. After the wedding, with travel funds from our parents, we visited many scenic spots. Wherever Snow White went, she learned local dishes. By the end of our honeymoon, she'd mastered more delicious recipes. Especially, husband, your sweet late-night snack is ready to taste. Snow White stepped out of the bathroom, striking a seductive pose on the bed. Even after so long, I fell again. Later, she developed a new hobby, always wanting to stick her foot in my mouth. I firmly refused, but she tried every way. Husband, how's this? Her feet in white stockings displayed before me. I wavered slightly, but held my ground. No way! I want sweet and sir ribs. Angry, she'd use food to threaten me. I scooped Snow White up without a word. Today, I'd punish her hard. Snow White dutifully placed a big plate of sweetened sir ribs before me. Full and satisfied, I patted my little belly. My workout plan was still far off. Need to try harder. Watching Snow White bustle in the kitchen, my heart swelled with happiness. Later we had a son, chubby and fair just like me as a kid. We carefully built our family. Our son grew up happily, caring for both sets of parents. We planned vacations, taking the whole family to travel. We returned to old haunts, visiting our university campus, the small apartment we rented, checking round's little kitchen, friends and family every time we met. Marveled that our love stayed the same. Time passed, our son married and moved out. The room holding over 20 years of memories became our cozy nest again. What's for dinner tonight? Snow White tittied the room, filling the space our son's things left. I held a broom sweeping. She suddenly asked, "Sweetened sir ribs." Snow White smiled, eyes curving. Still as pure as back then. The end.